like an Annie, like a Leona, like an Alistar. Although you don't necessarily want to pick Alistar into Vayne.
Or Janna. No Annie today, though. Going to be banned away there by RNG, so don't want to give it to TCT, interestingly enough. Jace, again, though, the ban out for Xiaogu means that poor old Xiaohu getting picked on.
Yeah, but at the same time, Xiaohu should have a larger champion pool so he can't get banned out like this. And this was, I hate to say it, but the reoccurring problem for Xiaohu for me. Looks fantastic as a player, but competitively, he came to power when Azir was already proficient. And we never saw much experimentation or flexibility from him. He reminds me a lot of Baka, Snake's old mid laner. You know, he could play two champions really well, but as Snake found out in the playoffs, if those two champions are banned away, I can't play anything else.
Yep. And both of those players tried to branch out with varying levels of success. And right now, it does seem to be champion pool issues for Xiaohu, as Victor will get banned away from Dornby. I do like that choice, but Azir going to get banned out, understandably, by Xiaogu. We saw 3 mid lane bans. If we're going to see that trend again, Ezreal should be the last one there for Xiaogu. So what do RNG want to ban away as their last one? They've got 10 seconds left.
You have to ban Echo.
Well, there you go. They've banned Echo.
Yeah.
And I have to think Ezreal's going to follow, but Xiaogu do have some other options.
I would actually leave Ezreal up, and I would ban... No, they're going to ban it.
Not today. What would you have banned? Oh,
Rise.
that's bad. Yeah. Well, there's Rise. Let me just take it. I wonder if they would have first picked Ezreal in the same situation, but certainly more than happy to first pick Rise.
They should rotate Janna here. Yeah. Janna Maokai.
Janna Maokai?
Well, they don't need to pick Maokai because they already see Rise, but I can guarantee you it's going to be Maokai into Rise just because he's going to negate a lot of that AoE damage.
Pick, oh, that's open as well. Was that open last game?
Oh, wow, they're going full.
Was Kalista open last game? I think she was. Yeah, she must have been.
The problem, however, with Kalista is that she's not safe from Rise's threat of zone. So you have to think Rise has a 600 range on his snare. The only AD carries that are going to outrange that are going to be Ashe, who's just on it, Caitlyn, Kog'Maw, and Tristana. And obviously Jinx, yeah, but with rockets. So Kog'Maw, Tristana, and Jinx all have to scale into that safety.
Makes sense. Well, they're considering it at least for now. Xiaogu might be putting, again, lots of eggs into the TNT basket. Swapping away from that Braum last minute, though. Kalista Janna is their lane.
But we talked about, you know, why is Xiaogu so impressive on the blue side? What is it about their draft phase that they're prioritizing to have such a higher win rate there? And it's the Kalista, Sivir, Janna picks as priority versus anything else. So when they prioritize their bot lane, make sure that they get on the picks that they want for them, that's when Xiaogu shine.
So what do you think of Janna Kalista then? Because you're a big proponent of Janna lanes. We've seen Vayne Janna, that was game 1. What about this duo lane?
I mean, obviously you're not going to get the same amount of synergy or flexibility with someone like Thresh in terms of the Fate's Call mechanics of, you know, throwing them forward, throwing them back, using the lantern, things like that. It's more just about safety and, again, creating space, which is why I still think it's going to be a Maokai. I think we're going to see a very similar composition to what we saw the first time around, just with Kalista instead of Vayne.
Makes sense. Like you mentioned, fairly similar on the spectrum as far as their carry potential goes.
I knew that was going to happen, though.
Lulu?
Yeah. Because Xiaohu, the other big thing that he played was Lulu.
Yep.
And naturally, with the Rise first pick, you want to take the Lulu because it's going to speed him up.
Ba-bow.
He'll still do it.
Rek'Sai
I still have faith that he's going to do it.
The second and third picks for RNG. Rek'Sai is back, and there's Thresh Fillet. So
I think their last 2 picks will be Sivir Lulu.
Okay. That's pretty strong. There's Lulu. Dornby's like,
He denies it. Again, it's the exact same composition that EDG ran when Koro was able to first pick Rise, because Rise doesn't have any sort of gap closer, but if you just speed him up, he becomes so threatening. That 600 range snare.
And then Sivir ulti in as well, and you get the idea.
Yep.
Lots of speed.
Dornby, also a big Lulu player. Please play Master Yi.
Master Yi. That would be great. The Swift Master Yi. I would enjoy it. I would enjoy it a lot.
I wouldn't.
Really? Come on, man. Ooh, Lulu. Kassadin. Okay, looks like V might be on Lulu duty. But it could be Castop as well.
He's not playing Maokai.
That's also correct. Unless it's... Oh, it can't be support Lulu. No, can't have that either.
It's Jungle Janna.
Janna. Maybe. Swift has done some crazy things in his lifetime. But let's see what RNG are doing now. We've got Thresh, Rek'Sai, and Rise. Their first 3 picks, so a pretty solid core. Just have to sort of round out with a AD carry and my brain's hurting. And mid laner, I think.
Yep.
Unless Xiaohu wants to take that.
Varus, since he can't have Lulu, he's going to go. He's like, I can only play Pope comps. What do I have left?
Varus, maybe. Xerath, there's always a champion he could play.
Xerath, yeah, he could pull it
I
out.
don't know how good Xerath is. As Woosh locks in Draven up against Kalista. I do like that selection, especially into Janna as well. You can see, looking at his coach, has been like, I got this, guys. Don't you dare worry. Everyone's having fun, though, on the RNG side. It looks like it might be, oh, it's not. Almost a Lissandra, but Orianna instead.
You know what would have been really good of a pickup for RNG?
Lulu.
Sivir.
Sivir, yeah. It's not Draven, though. How am I supposed to kill them in lane if I have a Sivir, Frostgurren?
Okay, he's going to play the Draven, going for the hard carry mode. Likewise, at least Orianna will be able to augment Ryze's speed a bit with her dissonance on the W.
The poor man's Lulu.
That's a good way to say it.
Hey, we'll see how it works out. Doinby, though, I assume... Actually, it doesn't really matter. They can do almost anything with their mage picks here. So lots of flexibility there as Swift.
The dive comp.
Considering a Nocturne. He has played it already, I think, once or twice.
He defeated Jinx Deft with this exact comp.
This exact comp?
No, they had Sivir instead of Kalista, but it was Janna.
Yep.
Nocturne Kassadin. Remember this? Where they just
I remember.
Pressed R and dove onto Jinx.
Fortunately, Lee Sin instead. Swift going to keep it nice and aggressive.
I give up. They're just messing with me now.
They are. It looks like V might be on the Lulu there as well. Doinby on Kassadin up against that Orianna potentially. Lots of swaps around. Lots of AP here on the two sides as well. But again, for Xiaogu, it's a different look, but I think the idea is very similar.
Swift could have just as easily played Gragas and gotten more than what this Lee Sin is going to offer him. I will say that.
I feel like Swift might be going crazy then.
I kind of feel like they're...
Want to get aggressive?
Maybe styling a little.
Maybe. We'll have to see how the game goes, of course. But Swift, I think picking Lee Sin, over Gragas is very much a style choice.
Especially because into Rek'Sai, if she times her unburrow correctly, you can mess up all sorts of Lee Sin when he tries to proc the Sonic Wave. Yeah. It's not a very fun matchup. A lot of players don't like that.
No, but Swift does have a lot of experience on the Lee Sin, so curious to see how that goes. Lee Sin has been very polarizing since Cinderhawk entered the metagame, I feel like. But coach is going to shake hands. Team's going to ramp up, and we'll go through our matchups now for our second game. Is Let Me on the big rise up against V's Lulu. Very different pick.
Yeah, it's going to be curious. Hopefully, Lulu will be able to abuse Ryze's initial ramp time in lane because she has range. But this is the big one. MLXG versus Swift. Lee Sin versus Rek'Sai.
And then Xiaohu there on the Orianna. But Doinby going to take the Kassadin away and say, I'll show you how it's done. Don't you worry. And then Wish on the Draven, the big man in this for his team up against the Kalista. Always a tricky one. And
Xiaogu have prioritized Kalista all year long. Joining them, though, in the support position is Lei versus TCT, Thresh versus Janna.
And kind of like every RNG game, Lei and MLXG going to have to do a lot of work here to really get things going. But we saw good stuff from them in game number 1. See if that carries over to this game.
I have a feeling it will. I kind of feel like RNG drafted when Wushin pulled out Draven, he's like, I'm just going ham.
Well, we'll see how ham he's going to go. Let's get onto the riff for game number 2. And welcome onto the riff for RNG versus Xiaogu, game number 2. RNG playoffs looking a little further away now, but within reach, and it really means this game has to go well for them. Lei, flash hook! Doinby's forced to flash, and I feel like the tone of the match has already been set.
We saw that in draft phase. As soon as the Draven was hovered, I was like, okay.
Yep.
This is going to be one of these games.
Time to go full solo queue.
Thresh flash trade for Kassadin flash trade, I think is going to be definitely worth it. We'll see if they capitalize, if MLXG will make a quick pit stop in the mid lane to try to punish Doinby for that. Does have the advantage that he's on the shortest lane, so not in the most danger.
No, we saw a lot of attention mid lane, though, by RNG in game number 1, so have to think that trend will continue.
Can he slip in the...
Nope. Oh, maybe.
He's got it.
I think. No. They found him. Well,
those childbearing hips.
It was only a spot of vision. But Xiaogu have spotted them away. Poor Draven.
He probably got caught on Rek'Sai.
You missed leg day, man. Can't have that. Good check of the bush there as well. as they're going to start on the Krugs here. MLXG going to start here, move to his red buff. Swift on the same side, Gromp into blue buff.
And what's important about that ward is the fact that they know that they're going into a 2v2, and something that we don't necessarily get to talk about a whole often is the 2v2 between Draven and Callista. Probably some of the highest kill pressure of any champions in the game.
Yep, so we talk about level 2 all-ins a lot in bottom lane. How important is level 2 here?
Massively. I think that Lei and Wushin already kind of stepping forward the fact that Janna really can't augment any of the creeps in terms of pushing power, that they're just going to have to give this one up and perhaps look at level 3, level 4.
Ooh,
yeah, especially because I mean, Thresh alone, level 2, the CC, the Flay into the death sentence, and then just the raw damage from Draven.
Yep.
I think it'd just be smart to let the wave push in, see a level 4.
Yeah, and you can see Whoosh trying to keep this lane here, make sure they can zone them out of some experience here, but that creep's going to die, and they'll hit level 2. TNT and TCT are going to leave the area.
It's totally fine. The wave's pushing in. They're not going to miss much. Maybe a CS, but saving their life for it, I'd gladly give up 20 gold.
You can see Axe comes down. Great shield there from Janna. But a bit of poke there from Whoosh means that they do have to be somewhat careful. But like you said, waves coming towards them. This won't last forever. As gank in the mid lanes come as well. Doinby getting pressured down, but Swift's here as well. Q will land. Does not follow Qiao.
And we talked about, you know, will RNG, MLXG in particular, pull the trigger on the fact that Doinby didn't have that flash available. So trying to be proactive, make it happen, but shortest lane, Doinby doing a good job playing to the side that Swift is on, making sure that his top is warded.
Nice hook there. TCT getting low. The exhaust forced out there as he ignites down as well. MLXG
Preyseeker
comes roaring down. Preyseeker hits, but it hits some shield.
He has flash.
Will he go for the dive here?
They're trying to push in as quickly as possible. Yeah. Okay, no, it took too long.
Yeah.
If the creep wave was on tower, they would have 100% dove that, but they were taking too long to set it up, and they saw that Doinby had disappeared.
They couldn't see Swift either. So a little too dangerous there. Swift's actually top side, so Let Me might get a surprise there, as Swift is going to move into gank, but a nice ward will spot them, and RNG will realize maybe you should have ganked the bottom lane. Instead, just a blue steal. Swift.
No,
Yeah,
really good from Swift. You know, he has the information and the knowledge that MLXG is across map, so might as well take the easy steal here.
The 3-buff then, I think, with the way Swift has parked. MLXG will back away from the bottom lane. He's going to be very upset when he goes back into the left-hand side of his jungle.
It's punishing the fact that he lost a lot of experience, as well as kind of some of control over his timer, but Rek'Sai naturally doesn't need the blue buff to jungle effectively, because she doesn't have it.
True. Swift, though, going to kick the Wolves, get level 4 and leave one there, so deny even more CS and jungle mobs there from MLXG. Now going to take the Grump here as well. Swift going to find himself with a good level lead and a bit of a CS lead there as well.
MLXG expending a lot of time, still really looking for this this dive.
Ooh.
He's going to get spotted.
Sentinel curving around the corner. MLXG does have some tunnel set up. Oh, nice dodge. Goes back in again. Lei to line up the hook. Preyseeker lands. Hook does not. And another misgank in the bottom lane.
But this is very stereotypical of RNG. MLXG will always prioritize a lot of good damage return from TNT there. Will always prioritize ganking his lane versus controlling his jungle or the objectives in general. So I like the fact that this is very indicative. If you want to know what kind of jungler MLXG is, this is the perfect microcosm.
Oh, Swift does not get that. Actually going to get spotted now by that Tremor Sense. But MLXG is already out. They do see Swift. That means Whoosh and Lei can play safe. But all that pressure they had in this lane's been overturned now that TNT and TCT have gotten some levels.
I'm like, why is all of that time spent and nothing gained from it?
Yeah, here is V facing off on the top side there against Let Me. Qiao, who a little low here in the mid, but Swift, MLXG will meet. Swift's going to get him. Nice on burrow.
That's what I was talking about.
Yep.
So if you time your unburrow correctly, you can deny a lot from Lee Sin trying to connect with that Q, which is typically why you don't pick Lee Sin in the rec side. That said, Swift, like I said, I feel like it's a style choice at this point.
Swift maybe just wants to have a bit of a faster game. Get him to bed. Get some dinner. Swift though, instead gets aggressed on. Raptor, I think, went to MLXG. Might have been a steal. Qiao level 6. Able to influence the area, but again, sort of relaxed here. Everyone's just farming away. Tier on the top side, stacking up for Rise as well, means that early atomization starting to come out now, about 7 minutes in.
Not a lot of attention played there. We did see that Swift was originally hanging out into the top side, didn't commit on the gank, inside chose to use the information of where MLXG was to steal away the blue buff. So Let Me right now, the big priority pick for RNG, has gotten effectively a free lane phase, has a 20 CS lead right now over V on this Lulu, and he's going to hyperscale a lot harder.
It's actually the same lead that Whoosh has as well, so some of that laning doing nicely. Xiaohu the one though that's struggling here for RNG. The Kassadin matchup looking tricky here for Orianna. Doinby doing a nice job navigating that one.
And it's a very similar predicament that Victor is in when he faces down against Kassadin. It's that, you know, if Kassadin jumps on top of Orianna, she's a very low mobile control mage. She doesn't have a lot of answers. She could just pretty much move her ball on top of herself and press W. So if you see that command attack go down to possibly push the wave, it's immediately going to open up Doinby to just jump on top of Ori.
Yep, we've seen Doinby's Kassadin before. Very deadly. As MLXG does ward that red buff, but Swift and TCT kind of strong arm at lay here as well, though. Needs to come in quickly. Doinby, though, is also in the area. MLXG going to fend them off. Will get his buff, but just barely.
Lay doing a great job migrating from his lane to assist his jungler, make sure that they secure that red.
Doinby, though, you can see starting to bully this Ori a little bit more. Gets mana back when he gets in range to slap her with the W. And again, it was Doinby that showed off kind of the newer school of Kassadin with all those 5.13 changes.
And Doinby's had a fantastic performance on Kassadin. Neither of the mid laners haven't gone back though, so they've accumulated quite a bit of gold.
Yeah, have to expect Rod of Ages will be nice and early this game. But Orianna, curious to see what Xiaohu does with his build. Plenty of options now for the mages, of course, on this patch. But Doinby with blue buff, just fresh actually. Judging by the timer, Orianna is forced back with no blue to take away. Is that a steal from Doinby? No. He just got a donation there from his jungler.
But the fact that Xiaohu had to completely exit his lane just on Doinby's posturing, you know, stepping onto the back caster creep wave, just showing again how fragile these low mobility mages are in the face of Kassadin.
And it's an interesting sort of dynamic between control mage and Kassadin, but nice to see a bit of balance there. See how that develops, of course, as bottom lane had early buys in multiple lanes, in fact. Good Water Cutlass versus BF Sword as Kalista takes on Draven. But Catalyst blasting one for what's going to be a quick roll for Doinby versus actually the same look for Xiaohu. So it might be Rod of Ages Orianna here in this game.
Like you said, we've seen a lot of different itemization coming out of Oriannas, not just in the LPL, but globally. We've had some Nashor's Tooth Oriannas coming out. That was pretty disgusting.
There's some Runeglaive as well,
yes,
depending on the patch. Yeah, I'm sure Dada's built Rylai's on Orianna, at least in solo queue. There's always one.
As far as this bot lane is concerned, however, with these different itemization, no surprise to see, actually kind of a surprise to see a Blade of the Rune King rush versus a BF rush, although Xiaohu can go ahead and rotate their advantage in mid and bottom over to this dragon, as well as utilize Kalista Ren.
Nice ward though. He's going to give them vision. MLXG is going to pop his ultimate. Blade trying to line up a hook, but doesn't have it. Ren will rue the day. Xiaohu can't get there in time either. So Xiaohu, nice control game. Take Dragon at 10 minutes.
I was going to talk about, you know, kind of the difference of skirmishing in this bot lane. Effectively, if Lei lands any of his CC, it's all about the initial burst that Wushin and him will be able to throw down, whereas if it's an elongated, sustained fight, Kalista is going to rule the day. Especially
with Janna there as well. Makes sense there for Xiaohu. It's Xiaohu clearing out some creeps still on the bottom side, but still behind Doinby, who might be getting a bit frisky. Looking to roam in some of the lanes. You can see the pings there from RNG. Doinby maybe looking to go top and gank for V.
What's really scary though, teleport coming down.
Yep. MLXG joined as well. Let Me's also coming. There's Swift going to get locked up by the Rune Prison. Umbara's there as well. The hook goes wide. Hold out from Draven is good damage. Let Me trying to go crazy. Doesn't finish it off. V there in time with the wild growth.
So both teleports being used into the bottom side of the lane. Unfortunately, RNG cannot transition this power into anything else, but it continues.
Play wants it. He gets Swift. First blood goes to Rise. Good play there on TCT. And there's the lockup as Fate's Call rescues the Janna. But that tower's going to go down as well, and RNG draw first blood.
So we talked about, you know, what are they going to be able to transition this into? They didn't have the dragon. They will surely get this first tier tower as well as the first blood. Good on them. I thought the initial walk into that lane of locking up Lee Sin versus Zhana was a little bit questionable, but I realized it was because he was respecting the Fate's call.
Makes sense. Look at this aggression as well from Wu, trying to zone TNT off some CS, denying as much as he can into this tower. Woosh will stay around to get the last hit. Oh, that was awkward. Gets the gold though. Now Doinby gets knocked up by MLXG. The Rek'Sai pressure starting to mount here.
Xiaohu unable to follow up on that, however, because he just doesn't have the mana available. Did have Shockwave, could have had a good chain CC, possibly killed Doinby, but Doinby being that far forward, knowing that she didn't have the mana bar to do so. No.
Always nice and safe there for Doinby as Orianna does go back. Finish up that Rod of Ages. Doinby, I have to think, got his down as well. And there's Roa completed. Going to refill that flask, get some boots and some consumables. But we are going to have a Rod of Ages battle in the mid lane. Not what I was expecting with the Orianna Cassidy matchup.
I think the last time I saw a Roa Ori, he also went for tier, and it was a tier Roa Orianna, and it's kind of like I'll see you late game.
Yep.
Obviously, it's way too late to look towards a tier here, so kind of curious what the next step in itemization is going to be. I would assume a death cap, just because you need more flat AP. But this is kind of taking over the place of the Athenes, with your supplementing your mana regen, but giving you a bit more tank stats, which makes sense to get such a burst like Kassadin. But you're sacrificing your MR. I don't know how I feel about it.
Yeah, see, we saw this from Kassadin, whereas the old build, if you will, is MLXG. We'll get to that in a second. Coming to the top lane here for a 2v2. Swift's going to find Let Me. Preyseeker lands as well. V will use his ulti. Let Me, though, still taking it up. Nice kick from Swift.
Yep.
But the arm borrow and the snare means Swift has to flash. Now V going to get chased down as that Preyseeker lands in. They're going to keep chasing here as well. Ryze needs one more snare. MLXG going to just miss that arm borrow, and everybody lives in the 2v2.
Man, how you liking that Lee Sin into Rek'Sai matchup? Could have had Gragas. Just saying.
Well, instead has Lee Sin and is not liking it, Froskurin. Just to answer your question, in case you weren't sure, Swift low in the top lane. You may have been being facetious. Yeah.
I was a little bit facetious. No, that was a sick unburrow from MLXG to interrupt and to save his partner's life and turn that fight. Although Doinby now involved.
Yeah, here is all level 10 chasing onto Let Me. Unburrow is going to interrupt some of that action. But MLXG getting chased down here. Doinby does not overcommit. Only level 10. Briffwalk not that strong just yet. We'll collapse some tunnels here, and MLXG has to be careful. Qiao is coming up as well. Is there in time to save him? But Doinby's going to flash his way out, or ult his way out there.
RNG, though, doing a fantastic job bowling Xiaogu backwards, giving Ryze more space. Still has a slight CS advantage. We'll see if he translates this into any sort of damage on this tower. I think it's actually fairly low.
See as the Moonwing Wave crashes in. Let Me going to go back.
There we go.
Yeah, about 20% health. 20% health left there, so relatively low, as Lei is going for a walk out on the bottom side, leaving Woosh to fend for himself, but he's having a fun old time here on Draven at 40 CS ahead, as this next wave's going to approach that debris. Of course, the tower has been taken out as well. RNG find themselves up about 2,000 gold, actually closer to 3. Mats is really hard, kids. But Woosh looking good. This Draven pick seeming to work out in the early stages.
Yeah, looks fantastic. Curious if he's going to itemize into what I would suspect to be the Bloodthirster, or possibly lean through the edge because he has so much free farm.
Atlantic went a long way. Woosh does have to get back, but knows he needs to shop. Only as the BF sword, not doing too much work for now. Xiaohu, level 11 now in the mid lane. There's a slight lead. There's Bloodthirst has been completed for Draven,
as well as his boots.
The red group's done as well. Nice and on time for that potential dragon fight. 30 seconds.
Yeah, massive power spike for Woosh in here, like you said. Really just the farm discrepancy speaking for itself. Hasn't cashed in those adoration stacks, so we've been sitting down there on 140.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Time to cash in.
That is a very scary thing if he manages to find a kill in this next team fight.
Yep. Xiaohu as well, pressuring Doinby. Blue buff there for the Ori means that they're able to clear those waves out nice and quickly. Let Me now in the top lane as well. Trying to apply the sandwich maneuver here to V on the top lane. Wild Growth is up here. There's the snare out. Wild Growth will be popped as well on Burrow though. And TCT flashes for it, but he'll miss out. The shockwave hits TCT. He gets blown up. The heal there from Orianna is going to mean TNT's in a whole host of trouble. He will fall. MLXG will die as well as Rise gets the double, but Doinby, he's the next one here as Swift gets locked up, but Doinby wreaking havoc in the back line, gets played back there. Will maybe fall. No, Draven goes in, but the triple's there for Cassid and Rise gets him out. Whoosh is here as well, and he cashes in for 1,000 gold.
That is disaster in terms of this Draven. Not quite a clean ace. I think TCT got back up in time, but all 5... Okay, so they got the ace.
Barely,
all 5 members went down. The tower goes down, but again, more importantly, Wushin just cashed in so big.
Yeah, I think 712 gold on that last kill there. Tower does live in the top lane. Lulu there just in time with Jana to save it. But Rex are going to go back to the bottom side. MLXG knows Dragon is back and he's just going to take it.
It was really good posturing on the Draven ult. Doinby was forced to flash to miss the initial tick of it as it went by, but Wushin did a great job posturing himself and pulling it back to the side, so we got it on the return.
TCT gets slowed by Smite. Blade up there as well after the unburrow. Fate's call is enough for the bait maybe as V's going to join in now as well. Nice hook land, so is V. Finds himself in trouble, gets played out there as MLXG is trying to zone. Swift will join back in as Letme gets monsooned against the wall and taken out by Lee Sin. 1 kill there for Xiao as they line up for Dragon.
RNG thought that they had caught TCT out of position, but a nice Fate's call really turns the tides. That said, Shockwave is up and available.
Yep, ult there ready for Orianna. MLXG in position as well. Draven's also there. Swift goes in, kick back MLXG. But a hook lands in onto Doinby. They'll flay him out there. Xiao gets the first kill onto Swift. Everyone as low as Swoosh gets the kill from the Dragon. A mini stun there onto TNT as TCT gets clipped for the Orianna double. And Xiao run away as Whoosh. Look at the bloodthirst. V's going to eat an axe here. No, maybe a little too scary. TNT's going to eat some of it. Ulti there for Whoosh. Lands it out as well. He goes crazy. Flashes forward for the kill. But it cost him his life as Lei's going to try and play cleanup. Gets kill number 1. The Dragon dies, but V collects the counter kill.
The issue is he flashed to try to set up the Draven ultimate. It missed the initial time, so he flashed to make sure it would hit on the return, but just didn't come back in time. I feel like he was sitting there. Come on, ultimate. Come on.
Didn't happen though, unfortunately. TNT able to get that kill. Whoosh a little too aggressive on that last play. But the Dragon does go to RNG, who find themselves up very far ahead now. 6,000 gold up.
Yeah, a fantastic counter play. Xiao, I feel like they just got way too greedy. They should have taken the initial pick, laid down their vision to try to deny the Dragon, or staggered their backs to at least attempt a steal. They do have Lee Sin after all. Fantastic steal potential there. Instead, try to go hard. So here we go. This is where it starts and it looks good, where they get the initial pick, just because RNG expend so much attempting to find TCT that Xiao just do a great collapse, cleaning up that Rise. From here, just take control of the pit. There's no reason to turn on the Dragon, because now you're fighting the Dragon, which is effectively making up for the fact that you don't have the Rise right there. Xiao, never mind.
Yep. You put back into play, but you could see what was happening there. That Dragon started and Xiao.
Doinby actually was killed by the Dragon.
Yep.
Of course, the kill credit went over to, I believe, Wushin, but when he came back, he would have survived, but no one had taken care of the Dragon aggro, just turned and smashed him.
Yep, now RNG pressuring in the mid lane, trying to find this tower. Xiao's going for Ludens, I believe, with the Aether Wisp there. Look down, see some funky items, but the tower does fall there. RNG take 1, but back off there. Like I said, Trinity Force on the way and a Ludens on the way for RNG.
The tanky, I'm going to call it the tank wave clear Orianna.
Sure. It's curious.
He's probably going to go Rylai's third.
That would be great. I would enjoy that immensely. We'll have to see.
I feel like he has to go Death Cap. It'd be way too late to go 4th item Death Cap. You get a massive AP bonus from it, but I just feel like your damage would suffer so much, or your bridge would suffer. That said, Wushin's fairly far ahead.
Trinity Force Draven second. I do like it. Kind of echoing in Crystal's old Draven builds. Don't do that, Jana. Nice shield, actually. Able to shake off some of that damage, but Draven is not messing around right now.
That was level 9 shield, just in one hit, just took it.
Yep, goodbye. Let me in the top lane as well. Got his Seraphs transformed up. Motivated stacking nicely. 6 stacks there, I believe. Maybe actually 8. Can't quite read that number. But the Luden's complete now for Xiaohu. RNG again, that gold lead rockets them ahead. They've just got advantages almost everywhere in this game. Oh, late. My God. Going in deep. Gets tagged by Swift. Bates call out Lajana. Lei going to get caught out of position. He will die. They might look for a fight 2v3. The exhaust down onto Woosh could cause problems. MLXG, though, locking them all up as TNT forced to flash the other part of Whirling Death. Xiaohu down as well. Swift now getting ripped to shreds. A double kill there for Oriana. Woosh going to hit out that Sentinel, but Doinby's dead as well. 3-for-1 win for RNG.
Just a collapse from RNG. Fantastic. They had more resources, and MLXG, Rek'Sai offering her team so much more CC and so much more frontline potential than this Lee Sin pickup from Swift. He pretty much has to look for an assassination and then just get out of the fight immediately.
I feel like in general, this comp from RNG is just comfort across the board for a lot of their key members, and it's really showing in the way they're playing this game as they do take their fourth power of the game. Let me almost able to make it 5 as B scoops into the top lane to clear that minion. Those minions. Grammar's hard.
No, I completely agree.
Which part? The grammar being hard?
No, well, the grammar is hard, but just the comfort picks. And you know, Swift is a great Lee Sin player, and I hate to harp on the Lee Sin pickup, but Gragas was available. There were so many high priority, high impact junglers still on the board and choosing to go for the Lee Sin, and I feel like he's frankly being punished for it. He's been punished, I think, in 3 different occasions of team fights.
I think so too. And for me, it's not even just like the interaction there where it's difficult in that jungle matchup when you're skirmishing to get in on top of a Rek'Sai. I just feel like Swift was not as aggressive as this pick would telegraph.
He did a good job with the information that he was given. Again, if you think back to the initial blue steal and things like that. But yeah, I can agree. It wasn't so much in his performance as far as ganking and making kills happen around the map. It was more kind of power farming.
Yeah, and Swift and a lot of the other junglers have gone to more of that farm to level 6 style, but that's what you want to do, like you kind of suggested. Pick a level 6 jungler.
In Korea, they used to farm on Lisa until level 6 because Yasuo was really big, and you just wanted to rush to the Dragon Rage as quickly as possible, so you could walk into mid lane and just give Yasuo a free.
Yeah, and that's great, but no Yasuo this time. Although I believe Xiaohu flashed it a couple of times. Not sure if that's something he's been practicing or not. But Baron's just going to get brute forced down here by RNG. Xiaohu have absolutely no vision and no reason to walk into the pit. It's far too dangerous. And this is going to fall down. They'll be 10,000 gold behind. And
likewise, the beauty of Rek'Sai with her Tremor Sense when she is underground offers a lot of protection walking over to these objectives and in the beginning because you know who's standing behind the pit, who's not. Did he just walk into that wall?
Maybe. That's his thing, okay.
I think it was just a weird animation.
I think so too, as Woosh. Going to clean out some of these minions. Baron buff going to mean this tower indefensible there for Xiaogu. Tower number 5 will fall. He's on the bottom side trying to push things out, but Dragon's up right now. RNG, just complete control of this map.
And they've really run away with it within the last, 10 minutes. Xiaogu making some atypical errors in terms of their team fight. Although I actually feel the big one was that initial dragon, making the incorrect macro call to say that we can continue to pull this dragon instead of just backing off of the objective. So being a little bit too greedy here.
And it's snowballed out here with Woosh's probably the best example of that. Here is his Trinity Force has been completed. And I'm sure he's got a big pile of money to go spend as well. Having a fun old timer. You mentioned Sivir would have been a good pick for comp. I can't disagree with you. Woosh's Draven looking just fine as well.
Well, their comp, in terms of synergy, yeah, but how they're actually playing, it's all about Wushin right now. Empowering him. It's not really been about Let Me. He kind of got his own free lane, and yeah, he's a very strong Rise 4, 1, and 2. Has done a fantastic job, but, the resources weren't completely put on the top lane. It wasn't like people were repeatedly ganking or protecting for him. He just was kind of a byproduct of this Draven running crazy.
That's true. Plenty of threats there for RNG. And maybe that explains Xiaohu's shenanigans in the mid lane.
Hey,
you were not wrong.
Didn't we talk about this?
So tell me about the Rylai's. Why is Xiaohu going for this build?
I may have checked his solo queue.
Ah.
So it's all utility, and again, what I was talking about is the fact that it's not really been about Rise, it's been about empowering Lucian. If we think about zone control again, what this build is going to grant, Orianna is going to empower her wave clear and her poke with the Luden's procs, give you that incredible slow that Riley is going to give him, and then again, stack on top of the Rod of Ages. Riley's and Rod synergize really well, and just making a very tanky mage, especially with the superficial tankiness of Orianna, then also having her shield. She's very hard to assassinate and to kill when you're looking down a Lee Sin, a Kassadin, things like that.
And like you mentioned already, Draven and Ryze are plenty of damage for this team, so Xiaohu able to supplement all of that with some damage, but more utility. TCT tries to make a play, flash ulti used, but Doinby's paying the price. RNG just have too much power right now.
Doing a good job being very patient though and just whittling away at this tower. That said, they don't have many places to turn after they grab this inhibitor because Xiaohu do have 2 big waves pushing the other side lanes.
Good hook there, Lei. He's going to get Swift there for a bit of poke. Wooch, sorry, pops in there with the Draven. Next tower will fall, and 1 hit there to the Draven. Trinity forces pretty good V. He's going to get caught out, dies through his ultimate as Wooch takes him out. Flash hook there for Lei, forces TNC to flash out, and the inhibitor will fall.
Question is now, where do RNG go from here? Are they going to try to end it?
Well, they're going to try and take at least 1 tower here. Feel confident in their strength. Doinby poking, but it's not that much. TNT going to get jumped on. Shockwave there as well. Going to give Wooch that kill as Swift will fall down. Now Doinby going to be the next target. Flash Umbaru takes him out. Zoniz will buy some time, but Doinby will die to Rise. TCT will get locked up as the last one. The ace will be completed as TCT falls to Orianna, and RNG will in fact end the game.
The 9th place team taking out seed number 2 in a 1-1 draw. This will only net them 1 point. We talked about RNG. They really need those 3 points if they're going to continue to attempt to make a playoff run. This isn't awful, not the best case scenario, but definitely showing a lot of growth and progression over these last few sets.
Yeah, and I like Xiaohu's sort of little story there in the series as well. Went from getting completely banned out, looking quite outclassed there on that Kassadin, to taking over in the similar matchup, honestly, there. Orianna into Kassadin this time, and looking great, like you said, been practicing in that solo queue.
I definitely also think it's kind of a different role exchange for Xiaohu, you know, taking away his carry champions. He's not able to play his Azir, his Jace, or his Ezreal, and so he builds this Orianna who is already going to augment her team a lot in the terms of the utility that she's going to bring, and then specializes that with the Rylai's Roa build. So, you know, Xiaohu kind of slating himself into more of an early Doinby position.
Yep. And what do we call it? Poor man's Lulu?
Poor man's Lulu.
Looking pretty good there in that game, despite the pickup. As Woosh, looking very serious actually there. But had a great game on Draven, really carried it for his team. Doinby looking a little flustered there after the Kassadin loss. His record has been quite good on the champion, but Xiaohu, again, consistency coming into question once more. Haven't seen him in very many best of 5s, don't forget. And the early to mid performance has been great, but losing games late in the season can't be good for your confidence moving towards playoffs.
I mean, if you want to talk about their best of 5 history,
Demacia
you have to
Cup,
look
right?
at the Demacia Cup, and that was not a very good showing. I believe they lost to LGD with a sub-roster. Imp wasn't even there, and Godfrey had to play the AD carry position.
Godfrey Varus only, I believe there.
Varus Ezreal.
Varus Ezreal there as the teams shake hands, congratulate each other on a well-fought series. The split, maybe not expected there. RNG, like we said, late into the season, showing signs of life yesterday. Dropping game 1, but taking game 2. It leaves the dream alive. Royal will not give up just yet, Fosco.
They are now at 19 points. Again, the magical number is 22 that Masters 3 have, guarding the playoffs. Masters 3